Think you can fix poverty with cash? Just hand over a check, right? Well, prepare to have your mind blown. We've been doing it completely wrong. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're exposing an invisible trap, a trap that keeps war victims poor forever. Forget everything traditional economics taught you.
Picture this. You give a war survivor $8,000, a brand new house, and a cow. Are they suddenly out of poverty? Common sense screams yes. Our entire global aid system practically bets billions on that yes. They see an empty wallet, they fill it up. Simple. But some incredibly hard-hitting data out of Colombia, it's about to shatter that assumption completely.
Because the brutal truth, money alone won't save them. You literally cannot buy a ticket out of poverty if violence has already killed your hope. A broken mind cannot rebuild a farm. The real barrier, it isn't an empty bank account. It's a shattered spirit. Throwing cash at a psychological crisis is like pouring water into a black hole.
Just listen to this. A displaced mother from Colombia said, "I have dreams where I see the heads of my neighbors. We had to scare our dogs away with rocks so they wouldn't follow us. Our life will never be the same." Pause and let that sink in. They didn't just lose land. They lost their entire sense of peace. This isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. This is pure, devastating human reality.
So here's the massive disconnect. Governments treat poverty like an external math problem. Missing house? Build one. Dead cow? Buy one. But the real crisis is happening entirely inside their heads. For victims of severe trauma, poverty is a psychological trap. This isn't just some poetic metaphor, guys. This is a cold, measurable economic fact.
To prove this, researchers did something incredible. They tracked exactly 344 victims across Colombia. These are real people who lost absolutely everything to armed groups. The researchers wanted to know one thing: who actually bounces back? They didn't guess. They built a rigorous framework to track cold, hard data on human resilience.
Now, the setup here is wild. Entire villages were forced out at the exact same time. Everyone lost their homes simultaneously. Why does that matter? Because it creates a perfectly cruel natural experiment. By studying these specific villages, researchers ruled out bad luck. They ruled out laziness. Everyone hit rock bottom together. It's a terrifying but methodologically flawless baseline. So how do you map their futures? You don't just check their bank accounts. The researchers use something called the ladder of life. Victims place themselves on a scale. Step 1, extreme poverty. Step 4, upward mobility. The question wasn't, how much money do you have today? The real question was, do you believe you can ever climb back up? And the results? Absolutely face-slapping. People exposed to severe violence were twice as likely to expect lifelong extreme poverty compared to those who only saw moderate violence. Let me repeat that. Twice as likely. The extreme trauma completely nuked their belief in a better future. It permanently capped what they believed was possible. This is the part that blows my mind. Both groups suffered identical physical losses. Both lost their farms. Both lost their cows. On paper, they are completely identical. But the group that witnessed more horror, they completely gave up. The physical loss was exactly the same, but the mental destruction was entirely different. Traditional economics completely falls apart here. The culprit has a name. It's called learned helplessness. It's a conditioned, deep-seated belief that no matter how hard you try, you cannot change your miserable circumstances. The trauma literally rewired their brains. It convinced them that effort is useless. When your brain learns that trying equals nothing, ambition just dies. And it creates this inescapable, vicious cycle. Severe violence triggers clinical depression. Depression breeds that learned helplessness. And helplessness causes a total refusal to invest in the future. I mean, why plant seeds if you fully believe someone's just going to burn your field down? And that refusal guarantees permanent poverty. The cycle feeds itself. The math actually proves it. Depression isn't just some sad side effect of war. It is the exact, literal mechanism locking people into financial ruin. The trauma directly crushes their economic ambition. Sure, measuring hope is subjective, but this statistical link is undeniable. The psychological damage is a heavy anchor dragging them down. Which brings us to this incredibly brutal realization. A free house means absolutely nothing if you are too depressed to get out of bed. If someone truly believes they're doomed, no physical asset is going to save them. The most generous government handout in the world will completely fail. The money just sits there completely useless.
And this exposes a terrifying, massive blind spot in global aid. Governments think victims just need physical stuff. Write an $8,000 check, pat yourself on the back, job done. But what victims actually need first is psychological healing. Ignoring the mind practically guarantees failure. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a massive internal hemorrhage.
The absurdity of our current system is just glaring. Lose a farm? Bam! The government throws thousands of dollars at you. Lose your sanity and your hope? Crickets. Completely ignored. We pour millions into replacing bricks and celebrating the new buildings, all while totally abandoning the invisible, bleeding wounds of the mind.
The real tragedy is in these numbers. Less than 4% of victims ever see a therapist. Less than 4%. That leaves over 96% left to drown in paralyzing trauma entirely alone. The system is fundamentally broken, guys. We're treating human beings like simple machines that just need a replacement gear to run again.
And honestly, it gets worse. Get ready for an absolutely insulting statistic. Less than 1% of government recovery funds are invested in mental health. Less than 1%. We are trying to treat a massive population-level psychological crisis with literal pennies. No wonder generations stay trapped in poverty long after the guns stop firing. The main takeaway here is undeniable. You simply cannot fix a shattered mind with a free cow. Forget everything traditional economics says about supply and demand. This data proves poverty is deeply, fundamentally psychological. Until policymakers wake up to this reality, aid programs are just throwing cash into a void. Which leaves us with one incredibly provocative question. How can we ever expect to rebuild a broken society if we only rebuild the houses but never the minds inside them? We are treating the physical symptoms of poverty but completely ignoring the disease. Think about that the next time a politician brags about rebuilding a nation. True rebuilding, it has to start in the mind.